Hi guys, how are we all? Oh, just literally finished listening to Boris. Have you? Have you all been listening to Boris or watching Boris? I've been listening, not watching, so I couldn't see the state of his hair or the state of his tie. Oh, Steffi Quinlan was already feeling weepy today. Oh, sweetheart. Well, look, here's the thing, guys. Let me just move this down a touch. Here's the thing, guys. You can probably hear in the background. Nadia has sort of passed out on a sofa, so we've been filming a Vlogmas taste test. It's hysterical, and you've got an absolute treat coming. But that's why she's not in here with me. But I just thought I heard that Boris was doing the talk, and I thought, you know what, our guys and girls are going to want to have a chit chat and a chinwag. And I've just been seeing some of your comments go up, and most of you are pretty much homing in on most of the topics that nearly all the journalists are homing in on after Boris's speech. Now, I think it's really key that we applaud the fact that they moved faster than they did last time. I mean, you know, they moved pretty swiftly, didn't they, in terms of, as you just said, hearing on Thursday, and then sort of making changes by Friday. I don't understand why they can't just do it straight away, though. I mean, I know it always sounds like, you know, there's always something to be moaning about, but there we go. Gabrielle, I'm fuming they haven't shut down all travel. Stronger measures are needed for a short time until they tweak and roll out stronger vaccines. I think, I kind of agree, Gabrielle. I mean, I think one of the things we have to really stress here, and John Campbell, who, I have to say, I fell asleep last night. I fell asleep. Nadia was asleep before me. I fell asleep having listened to most of John Campbell's recording about this new variant. And whilst I've heard him down before, I thought he sounded really depressed about it. Though he did give one moment of a chink of light or possible optimism, is that this might have 32 spike protein differences. It might be spreading more rapidly, but there is also the possibility that it is much weaker. So it might be all these things, but it might be that it's actually a sort of more flu-like version of it. So it's not a given that it's worse. And I think the thing to be taken from the press conference tonight is that in the utmost of caution, they've got to sort of bring in these new restrictions. But it is. Come on, guys, how does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? It did make me feel a little bit sort of like, oh, I got a few goosebumps when I heard him say wear masks again, making things mandatory. These are all things that need to happen, but just to even hear the possibility that we could be heading towards something that could be more serious than where we're at, it just made uneasy. Give us the words that it made you feel. Salsa Trish, confused. So what's happening is, for the next 3 weeks, whilst the scientists, deja vu, Sarah Fox, whilst the scientists get to grips with and try and understand this variant a little bit more, there's a degree of confidence that the vaccines that we've got can be tweaked in good time. I think some Pfizer are saying 100-day turnaround, depending on the differences with this virus, this variant. The thing I don't understand about that is, if things could be so different, how do they know how long it will take? Do you know what I mean? Are they such specialists that they know it could only be 1, 2, 3 things? So wearing masks in shops, wearing masks on public transport, and all travellers coming over to the UK, PCR test on arrival, 10 days, self-isolation until you get a negative result. That's quite a big deal. I think that is quite a big deal. In terms of incoming travellers, what do you think? Masks should be mandatory. Did he not say that's kind of the case? Is he might not have given the legalised sort of jargon, but isn't he sort of saying that essentially we have to re-observe masks in shops and masks on public transport? I think so. Dawn Claricoats, just wait for the media scare stories about lockdowns and cancelling Christmas. Well, you could hear the journalists all asking, what do we say about lockdowns? Is there the possibility of a lockdown? Insofar as, depending on the news that comes through in the next 3 weeks, but the problem with the next 3 weeks is, where does 3 weeks take us up to? 3 weeks takes us up to about the 14th, 15th of December, which is frighteningly close to Christmas. And my heart goes out to a lot of the hospitality venues that will possibly be thinking, oh my God, is the rug going to be pulled from beneath us right at the last minute? So my heart goes out to them. Faith Goodman, I have 100% confidence in scientists, but 0% confidence in Boris. I agree. Sarah Cat, I'm truly so upset at the moment. Don't want to sound negative, but I feel rubbish. It is distressing news. It's a distinct sense, as some of you have just said, of deja vu. We're heading back into what exactly? Is this the first step down? Let me just ask you a question. Who thinks he needs to go in harder and stronger? Who feels he should be going in harder and stronger? Which means that he could potentially be saying work from home, potentially a lockdown now so that we can save Christmas, a complete travel ban. Amanda Murphy, no. Alison Fisher, yes. Sam M87, yes. May Boo, yes, regarding borders. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe a lockdown now would end up defeating the purpose of any lockdown. But perhaps a complete ban on internal flights. A number of you, who would be up for a complete lockdown now as a sort of circuit breaker to protect Christmas, whilst they do all the stuff they need to do, understand it better, etc., etc. I mean, presumably with the two people, there are 2 cases in the UK now. Presumably, even with those 2 cases, I suppose they might not be that ill because they're not that vulnerable. And I think that's the problem, isn't it? Because I was thinking, well, if the 2 people in the UK that they found aren't too unwell, well, that's good. We're game, it's game, set and match. But if they're not vulnerable, that's the problem. Jamie, who was that? Jamie Buick, was it? Jamie, someone just said a 2-week circuit breaker. Anne Murray has to get worse before it gets better. Can't afford a lockdown. The cat Ziki, my daughter is currently on a flight to LA, returning Sunday. She's panicking on the plane about getting home. I want her home. Jamie Buck, a 2-week circuit breaker would be okay by me. Richard Kavanagh, I hope you're well, Richard. Hello, Mark. I worked for the NHS as a medical laboratory assistant in Wickham. I feared that there will be boxes. I'm just live. Will be boxes and boxes of COVID swabs. Epsington, I'm not sure. It's the only time in the last few weeks that I've thought that a lockdown could happen again. Same here. I mean, it had that austerity about it, didn't it? The entire conference. It had that sort of... Tasmania had a short lockdown a couple of weeks ago. It worked, no spread. Armchair detective MI5. There you go. I wonder whether a sort of light lockdown, could you do lockdown light? I do think that would be the work from home order. I think that would help. It's Only Me on BBC this morning. They said they will test the virus against vaccinated blood to see what happens. Yeah, absolutely. There's a chance the new variant will be less severe disease. That's what I'm hoping for. Andrew Smith, absolutely. And I think that's the thing that I really, really want to stress. In terms of making ourselves feel a bit easier as well, there's as I think Patrick Vallance said, the Knight Sir Vallance said, we have a stronger armoury of drugs. We have antivirals, we have the whole vaccine setup. We're in a much stronger position than we were before. This will be an irritant, this will be an irritation, but I don't necessarily think this is going to be something that evades all the tech and medical development that we've had in recent weeks. Yes, there's uncertainty, but there's the uncertainty could bounce towards a positive outcome. So I think it's really important that everyone remembers that what could happen here is when you hear it has high transmissibility, even if you hear it's vaccine evasive, it doesn't necessarily mean it's more dangerous, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it will lead to worse illness. It may be more transmissible, it may be more infectious, it may be, it might slip through vaccine resistance, but it might actually also be the first step towards it becoming the common cold of COVID. Do you see what I mean? Who's not going to be wearing masks despite what they've said? Who's not, say me, if you're not going to be wearing masks, regardless of what he says? Nadia Kauser, you're very worried. Mask wearing. It's not a problem, Elijah, so never stop mask wearing. Jen, you're not going to wear a mask regardless. Why is that? Give us some meat on the bones on that. Why will you not? Me, sorry, Amanda Murphy. Okay, that's fine. Just give us a reason. Gabrielle, I always wear a mask. I've never stopped wearing mine. I mean, you know, I've not wanted to stop wearing mine, but I think just as one gets used to normal life again, you just start not having it on you. You just kind of go for a shortcut. And I think once again, we're going to be in that position where we need to, you know, you need to always have one with you. Masks are still mandatory in Ireland, says Claude Egan. What do we think about Christmas? Do you think that shop? Do you think? Do you think that we're going to be in some kind of lockdown for Christmas? Yes or no? Do you think we're going to be in some kind of lockdown for Christmas? Yes or no? Dawn Claricots, I like hiding behind that. Masks are great for shy people. Masks are great for shy people. Ida, I'm happy to wear a mask because it's bloody freezing. Vast majority. Karen Edwards from Swansea, no. Jenny Ward, no. Restrictions at Christmas, Marcia Toms. Mandy Mullet, no. I don't know why. I don't necessarily think we will. I've got this sort of hope and feeling that we're going to come out of 3 weeks from now and we're going to know that actually it's not particularly nice, but it's not going to be particularly worse. You need to have multiple masks, as in ones that aren't too irritant. In my case, I've got 3 soft Adidas masks that are quite comfortable and easy to keep on. Thank you, Reese. Great when you don't want to talk to people and you wear a mask. No, it will be January, Amy Smith. That's interesting. That's what Nanny Di was saying. She was saying, oh, it's not, I'm not worried about Christmas, I'm worried about January. I mean, that's when it really sort of ripped, wasn't it, before? So let's just keep our fingers crossed let's just keep our fingers crossed that actually this is going to be a much more gentler version of the COVID virus. But I just thought we should sort of touch base. And you think lockdown after Christmas, Leslie Davis. And just finally, has anyone been affected by Storm Arwen? Has anyone been impacted by Storm Arwen? I think we've just got a little bit of rain, a little bit of squally weather. It hasn't really hit London. I don't necessarily know if it is going to hit London. But I have heard that sadly a couple of people have already died in the trees falling and things like that. Alison Fisher, I don't think a lockdown, but I think they will stop people mixing with others outside their household. Oh my God, we're going to be returned. Those seem so sort of 2020, don't they? Those rules about house mixing and meeting certain numbers of people and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that's going to come back? And I hadn't even thought about that. That would play havoc with Christmas arrangements, wouldn't it? Oh, well, look, there's lots to think about, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it again in Coffee Moaning tomorrow. So look, guys, just remember, for all of the hullabaloo and all the drama that all the papers and all the online media companies are going to be throwing out there now is they're going to be locked down at Christmas. We are in a information gathering mode. He's basically said wear masks more often and in public places. Makes sense, we should. And potentially in 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to discover potentially that whilst it's more virulent and more spreadable and all this kind of stuff, it's not necessarily going to be any more dangerous. Of course it might be. Of course it could be. And if you listen to John Campbell last night, he sounded the most pessimistic I've ever heard him. He led me to a really restless night's sleep. So but do remember that. Do remember that there is that flip side to the coin. The press will run with the awfulness, but at the back of it all, even within the hub of Boris, there is also the possibility that this could be actually a progressive step forward with the virus. This could be it becoming a more... Because don't forget, the virus wants to survive. The virus has a vested interest in having hosts that are alive, not dead. It needs to keep moving about. So this could be the new modern-day version of the COVID that actually wants to live with us rather than kill us. So you never know. Sunday show is coming tomorrow, and Coffee Moaning in the morning. Have a safe evening, guys, and don't fret unnecessarily. We're in a wait-and-see scenario. Take care, guys. Bye.